Okay, lesson for year 10, social mobility. Got the textbook, we're on page 176, 177. So social mobility. We're going to learn about the chances of changing your social class from the one you're born into. To understand why we don't normally change our class, it's very rare, not impossible, not even that unusual, but still quite rare. By doing that, we are thinking about the world that you live in. Keywords upward, downward, obviously. Meritocracy, we'll come back to that in a moment. I hope you already know what it means. Generational, education, degree, qualifications. Okay, so a meritocracy, pretty big word in sociology, important word. It's meant to be the system we currently live in this country. It's based on merit. Where you end up in life depends on you, how hard you work and how clever you are. We call that a meritocracy. Often it is what's called generational, meaning it's quite rare for you to, once you're an adult, to change within the social class structure, the pyramid. It's more likely that your children will. Okay, so what is social mobility? It's dead simple. It is moving within the class structure, moving within the pyramid. So who should be able to move within the class pyramid? Everyone. Up and down. This is how it should work. You should be able to move up, but you should also be able to move down. If you are clever and you work hard, you can move up. If you are stupid and you're lazy, you move down. That is a meritocracy. That's the essence of it. So who should end up homeless? Well, the people who aren't doing as well as everybody else in a meritocratic sense. They haven't worked hard, they're not clever enough. Who should be a success? People who work hard and are clever. Yeah. It's not meant to be like this. People at the top, other people, they have the ladder, but the rungs are broken so they can't get up. It's not meant to be like that. Okay, question 3. Once you're an adult, why is it unlikely that you will move? So, ask yourself this question. Why is this builder very unlikely to become a doctor? Obvious answer is, once you've got a full-time job, a family, a trade, you don't have the time to study anymore to change your job. So it's once you're set, once you've joined the pyramid, it's quite rare to move. Again, we'll talk about all these things in a lot more detail in class. So why is it easier to move when you are young? Well, quite simply, when you are young, you're not really part of the pyramid yet. You have a background, you have families from a certain part of the pyramid, but you yourself are not in them. So when you're at school, you're not really middle class or working class yet. What happens in school often is what depends on what your future depends on. Yeah. So how do people move? They move through education. So these kids here work hard at school for many, many years, do well, go to university, get a degree, get a good job, and they have moved. They have moved within the pyramid. Now, does this system really work like this? This is the big point now, is it a pure meritocracy? Okay. And the answer, we think, is no. It is not a pure meritocracy. Why not? This is the big one, 80-word answer in the class. Let's go back to school, shall we? So we have some working class boys and some upper middle class boys on their first day of school. They're going to have very different experiences of school. And it's those experiences that are going to make the difference where they end up in life. Yeah? The middle class kids are going to have a lot more pressure from their families to succeed at school, we think. Do that in more detail with your education. The middle class kids are much more likely to be graduates. There's a straightforward correlation between social class and becoming a graduate, especially a graduate from a top Russell Group university. And more importantly, there are codes of behaviour, and it's called cultural capital. We'll do a lot more work on this in the future when we do education. But the middle class and the working class raise their kids differently. Different codes of speech, different codes of behaviour, what is normal, what is not normal, and they give their kids cultural capital, meaning money, if you like, cultural money. I'll give you some examples here. So, if you are working class, there's a fairly strong chance that your family will take you to places like this, Chessington World of Adventures, theme parks. If you're middle class, you will go to the Science Museum for a fun trip. If this keeps on over many, many years, the middle class kids get a distinct advantage. They speak in a certain way, codes of language. They know more things. They're more familiar with books. We'll do a lot more work on this in education, but it basically gives them a big edge, and that's why the middle class tend to stay at the top of the pyramid and the working class tend to stay at the bottom of the pyramid. Not absolutely, but normally. Last question. How could it be made to work? Well, the only thing I can think of is if you did this. In ancient Sparta, they took their children away from their families, the boys anyway, when they were 7. Full time, and they were raised by the government. It was a true meritocracy. There's no way that's going to happen in our culture. You can't stop middle class families raising their kids in a certain way. You can't stop them reading their kids bedtime stories, buying them books as presents. You can't stop that. And so what this really means is the meritocracy is a competition, a race, but the race is not fair. The middle class kid is in the jet-powered car. The working class kid is on the trolley pump. The race is the same distance, but they're more likely to win it because they're better equipped for it. Okay?